Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Our Circle. I'm Rhiannon,
And I'm Jess.
and we're back. Sort of. We've been gone for a little while, and we just thought we'd do a little update episode because it's sort of like we were like, yes, we're back, and it's 2022. We're gonna be doing all these things, and then, oh, we're
We're
now off
AWOL.
social media. Oh, we're like not posting anything. Like, what's happened? So,
Yeah.
we just wanted to update you all, and then we will be coming back with episodes. We've actually recorded a few episodes weeks ago,
Mm.
just yet to release them, but we just wanted to clarify what's been going on and just update you all, and then we'll get back into the swing of things again. But we are alive. We are still
Mm.
here.
Just about.
I caught COVID. I got that 2 weeks ago now,
Mm.
and I only just went back to work on Thursday. I'm trying to think as well when this episode's actually being released. I'm assuming it'll probably be next week. So that's probably I can't even do the math. But basically, I got COVID and I was off for a couple of weeks, feeling really, really crook. And then before then, what happened before then? Had a bad period that week before and couldn't be bothered to edit. And then the week before
You had a
that, I had a virus.
virus or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the week before that, I burnt the inside of my mouth and I couldn't speak. Do you remember
Mm.
that? So I've just
Hmm.
basically been going through every type of health crisis and it's been driving me mental. And sorry, I'm going to keep coughing and having to mute.
Yeah. So I think life has kind of hit us, to be honest with you. Myself, mentally, it's been a lot. I think we've kind of mentioned it before, not going into too much detail, but I'm half Ukrainian, and so what has been happening in the news, I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, you will know that Russia has invaded Ukraine. And that has been a massive, massive stressor on myself and my family, for lots of different reasons. And it's just been quite overwhelming just to think about anything else and to continue normal day-to-day life without really thinking about it. I've actually taken myself off social media. I say social media, I mean mostly Instagram, because that's what I was kind of consuming the most of and spending the most time on, and what I would use as a news source, because I was following sort of independent accounts that were, and journalists that were providing up-to-date news on what was happening in Ukraine, and I just found it very, very overwhelming. So it's been about 2 weeks now where I've taken myself off that. On a more positive note, I feel a lot better for it. I'll only check sort of my accounts that I follow on Twitter for like once a day, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I find myself just being so much more. I'm still informed, but I'm not consuming it all the time. I'm not refreshing
Mm,
my phone all the time just to kind of get myself into that negative mind frame, which I know is such a like privileged position to be in. But I think for my own well-being and my, almost like for me to be able to continue sort of advocating and supporting and doing
mm,
what I want to do going forward, as well as being a parent and being a good friend and supporting my own family, I have to take this time
mm.
to kind of have a breather. So it's a bit of a reset, but it doesn't, yeah, it's not
I
going to be
feel
forever. It's just,
I
yeah.
was going to say as well in an upcoming episode that will be coming out, we actually recorded us talking about the toll that social media has on us when we're trying to, I guess, promote or share or inform people of different causes, different things in life that are happening. Well, like just the way that it's affected our mentality, I guess, and the way that we
Mm,
try to be activists as well as just cope, I guess. So you
mm,
will hear us talk about that in an upcoming episode, but I
mhm.
think it's been a good thing for you to do this.
Yeah, 100%. I feel so much more positive. I feel also like I've got my fire and my fight back a bit more. It's kind of like, although there's so much that I can't unsee or unhear or unread,
Yeah.
and so many horrors that are continuing to go on, I've kind of regained this passion to be like, we can do this, like we can still win, and justice will prevail. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
sometimes you can really lose that when you're just completely consumed in the negativity. And I think, yeah, it's just been needed. I've also found that something that's been really helping me in the past month or two is going to gym classes. This is something like completely new to me that I didn't really do before, but I pay something like £25 a month
You have
for my
such a
gym.
good deal.
Yeah, for my gym membership. So I used to go to the gym before and I was paying just under 20, and now I'm paying 25 and I can use the pool, go to the gym whenever I like, and do classes. And so I was like, do you know what? I think someone being stood in front of me, or and also just trying something new, that, like, for example,
Mm.
body pump, which I never would have done before. Like with barbells, I'm like, that's just not anything that I've ever been exposed to. I wouldn't have known where to start with
Right, yeah, yeah,
barbells.
yeah.
So I was like, I'll go to something like this and I'll have like a bit more confidence. And I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been great for me in terms of pushing myself boundaries, like with what I'm comfortable with in terms of like fitness.
Hmm.
And like I said, with the barbell thing, just trying something new, or like moving my body in a different way.
Yeah.
uh, but also like going to these classes where like people are regulars and they go and they have their own little cliques and their own little friends, and trying something new. I'm proud of myself for that, because I feel like it can be quite daunting if you like turn up to a class and
Yeah.
everyone's got their own little space that they might go
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
And they'll just like all be like chatting before and be like, oh, did you do Zumba beforehand? And like, all this, having like their chats. And like, if you turn up and you're a complete newbie to it, it
Mm.
can be a little bit daunting. But I'm proud of myself that I'm like, oh, I haven't done this before. Cool. I'll join that. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
good for you.
Yeah, and I feel so, and I've noticed I've actually lost a little bit of weight, which I'm really happy about, because
Well
yeah,
done.
it just makes me feel better in my skin, especially like
Yeah.
with summer coming up. I don't think I'm
Oh,
overweight, but I just, when your clothes don't fit you the same way, like I'm just looking forward to hopefully in the summer feeling a little bit more comfortable in my own skin. But
I feel like as well, you doing all of the exercise and stuff, you know how you're saying you feel like the break from social media is giving you a bit of like that fire back. I'm sure that some of that fire is also
mm,
being channeled into the exercising as well, which is probably quite
yeah, for sure,
therapeutic.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I think, yeah, especially with stuff like body pump, it's like really like pushing to the limits. I think that I didn't think I'd be able to, like, if I was doing that alone in the gym, there's no way I would withstand like however many reps that someone in front of me is pushing me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And also I feel like I'm definitely someone, like, for example, yesterday I did yoga, and they'll always give you like a challenge pose, or like something to like, oh, if you feel like you can't do this, then put your knee down. But
Yeah.
if you think that you want a bit more, do this. And I'm always going to be the person
Always
to
the
try and challenge.
overachiever.
Always. And if I
I'm
can't do it,
always the opposite. I'm like, okay, I will not
cool,
go.
knee down.
Like, I don't need to do that. You just said I don't have to.
Yeah, and I just get such a sense of achievement. Like, I'm so smug. I'm like, yep, no problem, legs up.
Good for
But
you,
yeah, no,
man.
that's been such a lovely newfound enjoyment. So I've been trying to go 3 times a week at the moment, which is what I can do, just in terms of like what evenings Joe's back a bit earlier, whatever I can
Yeah.
do. But yeah, I've really felt a difference. It's been really nice.
I'm really
Been really
happy
nice.
for you. I'm excited to try and be doing the same thing. I rejoined the gym before I got sick, so I'm feeling more and more frustrated that I haven't been able to go.
Oh,
Um, but that's fine. Oh, and I've just realized actually, I sort of said this very casually, but I don't think I've actually said it on the episodes. I've returned to work. Um,
that's a huge life event that's happened,
yeah.
actually. Yeah, let's address
um,
that.
yeah, I mean, it's not like a huge thing to dissect, but again, I'm not trying to bring this down at all, but last year was horrific for me. It was a really bad year for me mentally,
Mm,
and it got quite dark towards the end of the year. And I think out of I guess, a almost cry for help and desperation, I sort of messaged some friends who I used to work with and asked if they could let me know if there were any jobs going available, because I just needed something, I guess, to be positive. And long story short, got it. Returned to work. It's where I used to work. I'm surrounded by friends, which are so comforting and emotionally supportive, as well as supportive within the job. So it's just a really safe place for me mentally. And
mm,
yeah, I have no regrets about it. I feel really good about it. And I think that's what made it more annoying that I got sick, because I was like,
mm,
yay, I'm feeling good. And that's also what, I mean, everything has annoyed me about what's happening in the world with Ukraine and stuff like that. But I thought no, I'm finally feeling good. Why are more bad things happening in the world? Like,
Mhm,
no, 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 no. And so I just, yeah, I felt quite frustrated recently about all of that. But
mhm.
other than that, we're doing good.
I think it's amazing that you were able to go back to somewhere familiar. And I honestly, within like a week, I noticed how much your mental health had improved, just
And
like
oh,
in
and
our
I went back to therapy
conversation.
as well. Let me clarify that
With
too.
it,
I went back
yeah.
to therapy. We're back. We're serotonin is trying to function again.
But isn't it crazy, like how much money and kind of having a job really does have a knock-on effect on a lot of things? Because without a job, you can't afford the therapy,
Yeah,
you can't afford the gym membership.
yeah.
So actually, it's actually really important to have some sort of source of income in order to,
Do you know when
yeah.
I kind of felt like things were changing as well for me, like as in a good way, was when I got frustrated and I messaged you. I swear I'm not always frustrated, by the way, and I just say that word all the time on nearly all
This
of my
annoyed me
episodes.
and
Yeah, I'm just very passionate. Okay. I messaged you saying I was feeling frustrated, like where I was living and stuff, and you got excited over it. I was like, what? And you were like, I know you said something along the lines of, I know you're feeling frustrated and this won't like last forever, but I'm actually really excited because it means that you're now not feeling scared anymore. Like you're wanting to
Mhm.
do, like you're becoming you again and being ambitious and wanting to do stuff and not feeling scared. And it almost snapped me out of my frustration. I mean, it's still there, but like I was just like, I was just like, oh yeah, like okay, I'm not sort of overthinking. Well, again, that's a lie. I always overthink, but you know what I mean. Like I'm, I'm feeling myself again, which has been really nice and
Mhm.
long overdue, I guess. So, yeah, yay for mental health having a bit more of an improvement lately, and
Yeah.
to earning money.
Yeah.
Because do
It
you know
honestly
what?
makes such a
As much
difference.
as like I'm laughing and stuff, you're right, like it is so weird how much of a knock-on effect it has, because as soon as I got my job, the amount of things I've been booking, like I feel like I've got plans for every fucking week now for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
It almost feels like within the first couple of weeks of working, we went to the theater together with the girls, which was
Mhm.
so nice. I've booked several gigs. I'm going to see the Rolling Stones, and I paid a
Mhm.
small fortune for it as well.
That's the only thing Ree will spend a lot of money on, by the way.
Yeah, and vacations.
Yeah, oh,
I was
true, true. Travel
yeah,
and
if it's
gigs, yeah.
travel and music, yeah, yeah, I think that's and food and food. But yeah, it feels like I'm getting my life back, or like I'm getting myself back as well, and it feels a little bit strange as well in the sense of I feel like I'm now back because I have returned to a place that I used to work at literally before the pandemic. It almost feels like I've returned to February of 2020.
Right, so you're like resuming life now.
Yeah, but it feels weird because it's like no, 2 years have passed, but I'm now in the exact same place, if that makes sense. But
Right, yeah,
at least it's actually moving forward now, so
yeah. We've had this conversation kind of privately, but I wondered if you were comfortable in talking about how you now feel about COVID, having had it yourself, and
yeah.
just that impact now. Like how, where's no? Because honestly, this has been like, your a lot of your anxiety is based around health and death, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously, the pandemic is going to have skyrocketed that like out of proportion. And I just wonder, like now you've had it, now your family have had it, how do you feel? What is your perception of everything now?
So honestly, my if we're going to go deep dive into it, my anxiety at the beginning of the pandemic was awful, like just because I was scared, like as everyone was. But then part of me felt fine because I was confined in my house. I was like, oh, I'm doing everything right now, so I'm fine. I just won't leave. And so I felt like I actually kind of thrived for a good few months in 2020. Like I was actually fine in that year, because I think I just had the mentality of stay home, you'll be safe, and then it will all go away, and then we'll come back out. But then obviously that kept going for months and
Mhm.
months, and more lockdowns happened, and then that's when my mental health, I think, really started to deteriorate. And when we got into 2020, how many 2020s have we got now, 2021, that was just where I think I know this sounds kind of depressing, or well, maybe it doesn't, but I feel like the only positive thing from 2021 for me was the podcast. Like, I'm not even kidding. Oh, and then getting vaccinated, obviously, because then I was like, okay, now I've got a bit more of like safety about me, sort of thing. Like
Mhm.
that. So my anxiety severely dropped after the vaccines, because my mom works in a hospital, my dad and my brother both work customer facing based jobs, I guess.
Mhm.
So my anxiety was mostly all around them because they all have different health conditions. So I was like, right, if they're able to leave the house every day and they're not getting sick, we must be fine. So I think that all started to go down, like my anxiety on that decreased. And then my mental health got really bad because of my own stuff. So I've mentioned it before, how I had a couple of accidents with my ribs dislocating, and then that also caused several other complications with my spine and my physical health, and that has destroyed me mentally,
Mm.
just because I haven't been able to exercise how I used to. I wasn't exactly like a gym nut before, but like I would go a lot. I would go, 3 to 5 times a week. And I wouldn't go crazy, but I just enjoyed it. I loved going to the gym, being healthy and exercising, and
Mhm.
diet was a big thing for me. And I really don't like to say that I have an eating disorder, because I don't believe that I have an existing, like it's not a current thing. Like I'm not, like I'm eating, but I have a history of struggling with,
Disordered eating. Yeah.
yes, and that's been a nightmare when I've been putting on, like, I'm the heaviest I've ever been, I think, right now, and I do not feel comfortable in my body at all. Saying that, I am happy though, like I could, because I'm starting to feel like my life's getting back together, so I'm not so focused on that. But there's a lot
Mm.
of there's so many things. I won't get into it here because I don't want to bore everyone about my inner workings of my mind on how I view myself and stuff, but basically that's all really heavily gone into my mental health. I think working from home, being isolated, and trying to run an art business, which is obviously, trying to be in a creative field, that's a lot to take on.
Mm.
And then also, I guess I was isolated socially because all of my friends, we all live near-ish each other, but we don't all live in the same town. And if I was struggling like physically, like with my physical health, I wouldn't want to necessarily have to get on a bus or train out of fear that, if something like shook a bit, that my ribs would suddenly come out again, all this sort
Mm.
of stuff.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of factors that really isolated me mentally, physically, socially, everything. So 2021 was really, really hard. Wow, sorry, I just realized this was such a rant for trying to answer your question.
No, no,
But
I asked it.
yeah, but so that was really hard. But when everything's been starting to go good again for me, and then getting COVID, it was almost just like, it wasn't like I wasn't feeling dread or fear immediately. I was just sort of like, yeah, typical. Like I'm, something, I'm finally feeling good, and now it decides to show up, sort of thing. But I think
Mm.
the one thing that was getting me through it was I kept telling myself, how lucky am I? I've had 3 vaccinations. I'm going to get better, even though this feels horrible. I will get
Mm.
better. This just sucks. And again, it wasn't me worrying about myself. It was listening, because my family also got COVID, other than my dad, but my brother got it, and having to hear him cough. And we also got very sick. We didn't get light symptoms like some people do.
Mm.
And so it was just really hard to hear everyone be sick and not be able to help each other, because that's not in my nature at all. If someone's sick, I've become a nurse, apparently. Like I try and like do everything I can to make someone better. So
Yeah.
knowing I wasn't allowed to do that was really hard, but otherwise it was okay. I didn't feel too freaked out. I think it was when I would struggle with breathing that I would get a little bit like, oh, like, okay, try not to freak yourself out. Like, you will breathe, you will wake up in the morning, because as Jess said, I have severe death anxiety, and so I get very intrusive thoughts over the smallest things that can link to that. So obviously COVID is a big one, but
Mhm.
surprisingly I was all right. I just sort of, I think I had that mantra in my head that you're going to get better, you just have to relax, and it's just going to be shitty for a little bit.
See, I just think that's amazing though, because I feel like had this been a few months ago, even, like, I don't even know.
Oh,
I mean,
I
obviously
think it
you're
would have
your
been
own
the same.
person, but I just feel like you
No,
wouldn't have
you're
had
right.
that same positive like that ability to even have that positive mantra repeated in your head, because
Absolutely
you weren't in
not.
that same space. Yeah.
It was very, very dark, like towards the end of last year, and I'm not wanting to glorify this in any way to people, whatever, but I don't know, I just feel like it's our circle, so I can always cut this out if I want to, but I have a history of feeling very suicidal, and I was very suicidal towards the end of last year, and it freaked the hell out of everyone. And I feel I didn't think I was gonna get upset. I felt bad about it because I didn't feel bad about it for me. I felt bad about it for everyone else.
But that's just you all over, isn't it? Like, even in that moment, like, you're thinking about everyone else.
But in some ways, thank goodness, because it snapped me out of it, because my obsessive need to help everyone or make everyone else feel good, I guess, stopped me from from doing anything stupid. But yeah, so we're good. We're good again.
We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, and I feel like hopefully things over the next few weeks and months will start to improve worldwide. Fingers crossed. I mean, you know, but for the time being, I think us continuing to record when we want to and post and be online when we want to is definitely helping us mentally. I'm still online, and I'm very happy to be sharing Kalani's new album on my story with anyone and things like that. But yeah, I think for the time being, we're just gonna, and I guess going forward still, Jess and I very much we're aware that this podcast is very small at the moment. It will grow, but you know, we're the ones in control of this. So if we need to take a couple of weeks off, we will. We're still around, don't worry, we will be back. There will be episodes to entertain you, and while you're waiting for those, you can still re-listen to all of our other ones.
There's quite a few in the bank, so yeah, no, thank you again for tuning in and listening to us, and for you're probably thinking, these girls just show up whenever they want to, and yeah we do. No, but we're going to try and be more consistent in the next few weeks. We'll be posting a little schedule, I guess, so you've got something to look forward to.
And I feel like now that we've got plans as well for different things, there's going to be more episodes to actually, like, you know, fill you in on.
Yeah, like, we'll have loads more to talk about.
Yeah, I hope that this wasn't too much of a downer, but we just wanted to update you all on everything. And yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully my voice will be normal and I won't be coughing as much. I'm not going to dedicate anything for this episode, just because this episode does not deserve any dedication.
Nope.
But as always, please make sure to like and subscribe, follow us on our socials. We will be active again, we promise.
Eventually.
Yeah. And we'll see you for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.